Reddit is really an existential question on AI. So if you think about the AI value chain, we know that it begins with a lithography machine made by, for example, ASML, or maybe Applied Materials is jumping in there to do some of that now. And we know that the value chain ends with you writing a prompt on ChatGPT. So in between that lithography machine made by ASML and your query on ChatGPT, there's a lot of companies and even sectors that are trying to capture value. So we're talking about the AI value chain. Where does data play in the AI value chain? And ultimately, your question as an AI investor is what sector and what companies will ultimately capture the most value in the AI value chain? Is it going to be data? Is it going to be lithography machines? Is it going to be GPU makers? Is it going to be ASIC makers? Is it going to be, there's so many options. Is it going to be the model companies? Who's going to really capture the most value long term in AI? That's really the whole question that we're groping at, the whole question that we're coping with every single week or every single month on this show. So Reddit is the company that we're looking at today. Reddit is potentially an AI data play, and they've done pretty well based on speculation around their ability. I mean, listening to their last earnings call, there were so many questions about the AI angle. But let's just give some background here, and then we'll kind of get your take, Kai. So Reddit just had profitability for the first time. So they've been around since 2005. They just had their first profitable quarter, their first GAAP profitable quarter in this past quarter, which was their third quarter. Now, they had 68% year over year revenue growth. So impressive revenue growth, 56% year over year growth in advertising. International revenue is growing 57% year over year. So they've got some really good growth numbers. And the question is, why? Why do they have these really, really good growth numbers? There are a few things that I think are leading to this kind of explosive year over year growth. One is that all of a sudden they're doing translation in 5 other languages. They're doing what they call machine translation, which is pretty much AI translation of most of their website to these other languages. Like French is one of the first big ones that they're doing. And supposedly that's helping them expand and, of course, sell more ads, get more clicks on ads, things like that. Now, we do know that they've had some agreements with some big AI companies, and they've gotten one-time payments. It's hard to say. They're not really saying, is it a one-time payment you got? Is it an ongoing payment? But then they also are working with some smaller companies, like a data partnership with Meltwater. So, it's kind of hard to flesh out exactly why they have this explosive year-over-year revenue growth. But the reason that's such an issue is because we want to know, are they going to continue to have such great growth? And I'm a little more skeptical of that. But let's just get your take on Reddit before I give kind of my final thoughts on it. What's your take on Reddit?
One of the appealing things I like about Reddit is their drastic increase in revenue from advertising, right? And growth from advertising. And so do you think Reddit plays a role here with TikTok going dark if it basically is not in the United States going forward?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think TikTok is going to go dark. I think that even the Biden administration stepped in on Friday. They did a statement. They didn't do any kind of order. They just did a statement and said, "Hey, we're not going to be responsible for enforcing this law. That's going to fall to the Trump administration." So I don't think TikTok is going to go dark. If anything, I think Trump's main reason.
The Supreme Court upheld it. I mean, you think people are going to be able to access TikTok tomorrow? I want a prediction from James. I don't think so. I think TikTok is at least going to be a dark until maybe Elon buys TikTok, hopefully.
So there's a 100% chance that you have access to TikTok for the next week. Actually, I'd say indefinitely. There's a 100% chance that you're going to have access because Trump is going to come out. I think Trump just wants to look like the savior of something that 120 or 170 million. I think it's 170 million Americans who use TikTok. I think he just wants to look like a savior to those people. So if 170 million Americans use it, gosh, what's the percentage of Americans who don't like it or think it should go away? Well, obviously a much smaller number, maybe 10, 20, 30 million. It's hard to say.
So you don't think Reddit at all potentially is going to benefit at all or benefit from any of this? I mean, whether it goes dark, doesn't go dark, potentially the unknown here, does Reddit benefit at all?
First of all, Reddit is a forum. Reddit is a question answer forum. That's really what it is. I think they're trying to compete a little bit more in other segments. Like, for example, they're trying to compete a little bit with Twitter. They're having businesses come on board and make business accounts, but they're not competing with short form video. Okay, the short form video platforms are Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. And obviously, we know that Twitter has tried to do short form video. X is trying to do short form video. How successful they are is hard to say. But look, let's look at valuations and compare that to what they're doing. So TikTok is expected to be worth between 50 and 100 billion. And by the way, before I even get in this, as we mentioned previously, evaluation is pretty simple. You can take the share price and multiply it by the amount of outstanding shares. Now, when the company is private, that's a little bit trickier to do, but we can generally get an idea. So TikTok is expected to be worth between 50 and 100 billion. Meta, which is, by the way, Facebook and Instagram, so two social media platforms in one there, is valued at 1.5 trillion. Okay, so maybe if you want to go half and half, maybe each of their profitable companies, profitable segments is 700 billion. Twitter, X, was purchased for $44 billion and it's now valued somewhere between 9 and 19 billion. It's private, so it's a little tougher to say, but we can kind of see how the banks are marking up or marking down their shares. So we're going to say Twitter X is somewhere between 9 and 19 billion, between 10 and 20 billion. Reddit right now is valued at $30 billion. In other words, Twitter X valued at one third the value of Reddit. What's going on here? So I would say that in general, the short form video. Oh, I didn't mention YouTube. That's tough, but these short form video social media are clearly worth more than a forum, or in the case of Twitter, a short forum. What is Twitter? Twitter is like
Yeah.
a
So are you comparing Reddit at all to Snap or Amazon?
Well, I don't touch Snap. I think Snap is the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen in my life before. I think they just need to go away completely. But I have heard that young people, like high school age, dude, Snap is so sketch. So apparently, young people are using Snap at higher rates than other social media. But I think they're going to graduate to Instagram and TikTok, young people use TikTok and Snap apparently, like real young people. But look, so
Just curious, comparison. We do have a few things we can compare these to. I mean, for example, are you comparing at all Pinterest? Are you comparing? The other one was Amazon. I was mentioning in regards to retail. The only reason why I'm mentioning these is regards to competition and advertising, not necessarily the online platform, but advertising, and particularly. So the advertisers are using that online platform, but and the online platform may be different, but where are advertisers' dollars going to go? And that's what we're really talking in regards to Reddit here, right? I mean, revenue growth due to advertising.
absolutely. And you're kind of hitting the nail on the head here. So only 10% of Reddit's revenue is from data licensing. Data licensing is probably another way to consider their AI business. So only 10% of their overall revenue is coming from their AI business, if you want to call it that. And they're doing some cool stuff with investing in advertising optimization, advertising AI. Like we know that Meta had a big boost when they worked AI into their advertising, and now Reddit is starting to do that. So, yeah, look, they were asked on their conference call pretty directly about AI, and it was said this is the exact quote: it's a nice to have business, the data part is a nice to have business, but the future of Reddit is really our ads business. So they see themselves as an ad business. They even recently acquired Memorable AI, which is an ad optimization company that I mentioned. So, yeah, I mean, look, but here's my concern. Look at Twitter. I mean, this company went from 44 billion to 9 billion. Why is Reddit worth 3 times as much as X? That's my concern here. It's not short form video, which is hot right now. It's pretty much a forum that people go to find out info on products, maybe Wall Street bets. It's like a discussion forum, is really what Reddit is. Now, Reddit is the sixth most searched term on Google. So a lot of people are looking for quality data on Reddit, quality information on Reddit to know what to buy, to know if something works. They go to Reddit or they search Google to get to Reddit. But the question is like, do they have a long-term arc of monetization? Now, I have a pretty simple fundamental view towards investing. As you know, Kai, the two things I look at are revenue growth year over year and margins. They have excellent revenue growth year over year, 68%, and their margins are around 30%, which is decent. Not bad. So considering they are now profitable, I'm going to go ahead and buy some Reddit. So I'll give you my short take, and then we'll get yours.
Interesting. Okay. All
I
right.
I am bullish on Reddit because they have 68% year over year revenue growth and a decent 30% margins. 10% of their business comes from AI, but I think they have a lot of room to run in that regard.
So you have to really, really, really explain to me why me as an investor, I mean, that is my biggest critique, would not take my money and put it on a company like Meta and go long in Meta versus Reddit because the PE of Reddit. I mean, well, one, it's not there, but I think it's like forward PE is like 200 or something like that. I mean, it's not because they just became profitable. They just started having they just became profitable. So yeah, I think there's some concern there, but I really like the technicals. I like the advertising revenue growth. I think it's a very unique platform. Just curious, do you use Reddit at all?
I think everyone winds up on Reddit. If you're looking for info on pretty much anything, you wind up on Reddit. The comparison to Meta is a tough one. And I'm just going to bring up one thing that I've mentioned multiple times in the past. So it's easier to get explosive growth in a smaller company, a smaller market cap company, than it is in a larger one. And when you get that explosive growth, that really can lead to explosive growth in the share price. So Meta we know is already 1.5 trillion. So it's harder. I mean, Meta could double, but it's harder to really get it's harder to get like a triple or a quadruple out of Meta than it would be out of Reddit. I mean, just let's say Reddit grew to Meta. Real quick, real quick. Let's just say Meta, let's see Reddit grew to Meta someday. How many tripling and quadrupling of the stock price would that mean? If the market cap grew from 30 billion to 1.5 trillion, I mean, what is that, 20x, 30x increase in share? I'm not great at math off the top of my head, but you drastically increase the money that you've got there. Now with Meta, you might double your money.
Yeah, fair. You're a very good critique. I'm only bringing it up in regards to risk. And I do think that I'm throwing that out there for our listeners. I think Meta is an investment opportunity currently. I mean, I'm bullish on Meta. I mean, let's go 2025. I'm bullish on Meta because I do think we're going to see advertising revenue increase, especially in this, I think, economic uptrend that we are in currently. Man, the 21 day, I mean, Reddit is in a power trend. And I also would want to, let's see what you think about this statement. I'm bringing this up as a provocative comment to you, James. But Reddit's, I know where you're coming up with the calculation. It's not worth that. I wouldn't pay that. I mean, granted, like I'm not a trillionaire, right? I'm not Elon Musk, but I wouldn't pay that. Twitter's worth more. It's not publicly traded. So X is worth more than what it's currently valued at, in my opinion. So I don't think Elon lost out on any money buying Twitter. I'm glad Elon did. But it's just because it's a publicly traded company is where it's easier to come up with that calculation. So
Let's hear from ChatGPT.
I'm bullish on Reddit in 2025 because user-driven content powers AI insights, the platform's data is lucrative, and advertising revenue continues to scale.